Hartshorne house before the kids come to see it. That's before the kids come to see it. Cars are out already this morning. It's like Quanah-Powart. Tennis courts. Garden. The end chimney, great shape. A new roof put on in 1990. Pittsfield. This is Paris car. And in the distance, Lake Quanah-Powart. I'm going to go around the other side and take a look. Joy and Jeff Schilling, resident caretakers. Joy teaches art in the Wakefield school system, and Jeff owns the frame shack down across from St. Joseph's. They are expecting a baby. Little need of repair. This is the original side of the house. Of course, repaired beautifully and maintained. facing north. This one facing the lake. And in the distance, wonderful view of the chimney. Might not get it unblurred here through the tree. Back entrance. Sun streaming through its morning. The lake. And the backside of the tennis courts. The Vets field in the background. A few seagulls dawning. Across the street, in Prospect Street. The railroad tracks. And a convenience store. Huge maple trees, and they're absolutely beautiful, and I can't get them all in. But here's one. And it meets the other one that's in front of the house. It's at the back side of the Hartshorne house, between the tennis courts, a little path. Mosquitoes are out already. Oh, formal seat in the back. Ouch. Just got stung by a mosquito. Continuing around the back of the Hartshorne house. And across the street you can see the other houses, the brown one. I'll get a closer picture of it later. Wonderful bush by there. Look at that flower coming out. And continuing down the path around the other side, finishing the back of the Hartshorne house. Big bushes coming around. The morning sun streaming through the trees. Vegetable garden getting started. Sitting in a lovely setting. House outside of the fence is the watering trough. Obviously you can tell it's 1833. Get a closer look on the full of it. A few leaves inside. But what's great behind it are two, and I just forgot what they are. It'll come to me later. Two bushes, one bigger, the other one smaller. At Christmas time with the red berries. Must be early in the morning here. Beautiful view of the lake. And just the most wonderful trees, beginning or the end of the floral way. Time has passed. But look at the beauty of this one. The path leading up toward the Congregational Church. Benches for sitting. Peaceful. I wish you could feel the soft breeze this morning. And way in the distance, the other end of the lake, if it comes out, is Lani Island, a local token for a Chinese restaurant at the end of the lake. Beautiful spot they have right next to the, not the Spalding, the other beach, Conley Park. Now here's the other maple, and you can see how gigantic it is. I have to really stretch up down to the Hartshorne house again. Beautiful. And Tuesday, we're going to go with the children from the Atwell School to visit. Joy is going to give us a tour, and I'll have a chance to record that. Be sure what's going on here. It seems to me there's some cutting down to clear the way. It must be behind the rock honoring the Garden Club of Wakefield to make a little way here to clear it out. I'm heading back. All these great views. Wonderful. And turned right around. Great giant rock. See how the two roofs, two portions of the building are joined. It's the street. One. The car going by now. Guessing not really in another house. Number 42. Just to show you what's here today. Maybe somebody will look at this 50 years from now. The base of the two trees. Someone running by. Fine, thank you, and how are you?
Great.
We're very happy to be here.
It's a beautiful day for a walk.
Yes,
it really is.
A little bit on the windy
Kind
side.
of reminds me of fall. Okay, let's see. Here. And I want you, we're all going to go into the room on to the left, okay? It's a very small room, but I think if you stand close together, we'll all be able to fit. Okay, come on.
Hats? going.
Bless you. Thanks. Which knees are right?
Not tall, but my head almost hits the doorway. So those of you who are taller than me, I want you to really watch your heads. Okay? The reason why we start in this room is because when the house was first built, it was only this room and the room that's upstairs. That's it. There were two people who lived here. The last name was Hodgman. And when they built the house, this was it. They lived here, and they lived in the room, which is the same size, just right on top of this. So it was a really kind of a little house. And once I'm done talking to you and I take you throughout the whole house, you can walk around and maybe get a better look of what's in this room. I realize we're very crowded in here. One thing that I want you to notice is that when we go into every room, the reason why is because that's how they got their heat. They didn't have heating. They could just walk over to the thermostat and turn up the heat and get it. They had to keep a fire going at all times. Now, why don't we spread out here? We're going to come into this room.
It was very different from last year.
Yeah. Okay. Now, somebody just asked me if I own this house. I don't own the house. I wish I did. I love it here. My husband and I, we live upstairs. And as you walk through the house, I want you to notice how big the rooms are, because the rooms upstairs are the exact same size. Okay? So all the doorways that you see that lead to the 3 stairways that go upstairs, they go up to my house. This is the old kitchen. All right? And if you look around, you're noticing there's no fridge, there's no microwave, there's nothing that you would be familiar with. But if you look over at this fireplace right here, this is called a beehive oven.
I could get in there for a sec.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is dark, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, we have would you flick that light right there? Yeah. Does that help?
A little bit.
Okay.
Get that one.
And the people who lived here did all their cooking in this room. And if they wanted water, they would bring it in from the lake in buckets. And if they wanted to go to the bathroom, they had a little shed out back that they'd go to the bathroom in. Yes?
Why is it so deep?
Well, that's a good question, because what they did, you have to kind of visualize this. This part right here used to have a wooden door over it. And what would happen is that you'd light the fire, and you'd get the fire going really hot. And then you'd take whatever you were going to cook, and you'd stick it way back in there and close the door, and that's where they cooked their food. Oh, that's what this is for.
Oh.
I'm sure they had other utensils. Yeah, this looks like a little pizza paddle here. But this would fit in and help you to take your food in and out. I'm sure they had other utensils, but we don't have them in the house right now. Well, this is something that you might see this in church when they put out the candles. They just go like that, and it puts out the candles. Yes.
That's a real gun.
It was at one time. It's been disassembled so it won't fire.
Is that just like a cabinet?
Yeah, that's just, let me open that up there, see what's in here. That's just a cabinet that covers the way the chimney goes up. I think it's just for decorative purpose.
What's that thing next to it, that basket thing?
This? This would have a candle in it, and it would give off light. Actually, it's very pretty when it's lit. Yes?
What's this go for?
That goes down to the cellar.
Can we go down to the cellar?
No, you don't want to go into my cellar. It's a mess.
Pot or something?
Yeah, that's a kettle. Yep. And like I said, once I'm done talking, I'll let you people wander around on your own so you can actually see. I mean, we are so crowded in here. Let's go into this room right here. Is an authentic rug. This is the type of rug that would have been on the floor in the 1700s. Well, I told you that the Hodgmans bought the house, and built the house first. And then a man whose last name was Cowdrey, he bought the house from the Hodgmans, and he built on the old kitchen and this room right here. And you can tell as we progress through the house that it starts to look a little bit more modern with each room you go in. You'll notice the ceilings aren't as low. Okay, they're getting a little bit higher. And then, you know how we looked at that little cabinet above the fireplace in that room? You'll see in this room, this is really decorative. They kept china in here to display, kind of like a hutch. Some of you might have a hutch at your own house. Maybe some do, some don't, and you display china on it. Well, that's what this was for. So you can see that things are getting to be a little bit more decorative. Let's see. They didn't have electricity back then. They used candles and lamp oil with lamps that burned from oil. The electricity is put in here for obvious reasons. The same thing with the bathroom that was right in there. So if any of you have to go, you can feel free to use it. Yes?
What's that little hole in the wall there?
Well, that little hole in the wall, the thermostat used to be there and they moved it. So they still haven't figured out how to cover it up yet. Yes?
Does someone else live down here? Downstairs?
No, downstairs is available. People rent it for parties, for small parties. Yeah.
What kind of book is it?
That is the guest book that I'm going to have you guys sign as soon as I'm done talking. It dates back to, I think, 1945, when the house first opened up for private parties.
Does that work?
It used to. It doesn't anymore. It's just missing a little piece, but how it would have worked is that you'd pump it with your foot, but it doesn't work yet, or still. You'd pump it with your foot, and it would spin the wheel, and it would spin the yarn that you would need to knit sweaters and make clothes. Any other questions about this room?
Do you know who that picture's of?
That is a picture. It's a copy of a painting by Whistler. I don't know who it is. It's just somebody who he had decided to paint. Whistler was a famous painter who was born in Lowell. I don't know. I don't happen to like that one because it's so dark. But that's just a personal preference. Oh, we do have a famous painting in this house, though. It's right over there. And that painting is of the house. I don't know. I guess it was in the 1800s. It was painted by a man whose last name was Poole. And he still, to this day, is known as one of the most famous artists who have come out of Wakefield. You'll notice if you look close at that painting that there's a house beyond the Hartshorne house. So there was another house there at one point, but it's obviously not there anymore. That's the ball field.
You know what?
Okay, let's keep going. I'll give you a chance to look at that in a minute. Not over there.
Oh, who is that? Mrs. Shilling, who is that?
Not that is Mrs. Hume. She lived here and took care of the house for 35 years.
Okay, Mrs.
Why is this floor so slanted?
It's so slanted because the house is settling. And this room really accents the slant. If you'll notice, if you stand right here, this is the high point of the room, but as you start walking out of the room, you'll notice that you start to walk faster and faster and faster. There's probably about this much difference between that part of the room and this part of the room. But you remember I said in the other room that as we walk through these rooms, they get more and more modern. And this is the most modern room of the downstairs. And what Stacy pointed out to me, and I had forgotten that, is that we just got new lighting put into this room and that room, and we got it from Stacy's dad. And I told you to tell him that I love them. They're great. Let's see. Where did I get to? I told you about Mr. Cowdrey. He bought the house after Mr. Hodgman. Then it was bought by a man named Dr. Hart. And did you guys go over this stuff? Okay, and he used it as an inn. So this house was an inn for a while. And it was called the Lafayette House because they thought that General Lafayette had slept here, but he had actually never been here before in his life. But after Mr. Hart use the house as an inn. That's when Mr. Hartshorne bought it, and he lived here for 65 years. And the reason why it's called the Hartshorne house is because he was here the longest. He had 13 children, 2 wives. His first wife died, he remarried, and then he had 6 with his first wife and 7 with his second wife. So that was quite a few kids, but not all of them lived, so they really weren't that crowded in the house. But after he lived here, yes?
How did the kids die?
When way back in that time, children died of all kinds of reasons that we don't die for these days. I'm not exactly sure. You guys might know better because you guys have studied this. But let's see. After Colonel Hartshorne died, his wife lived here for a while, and then she sold it to the ice company. And the ice company used to, they had little houses out on Veterans Field, and in the winter they would cut ice out of Lake Quannapowitt, and they would bring it over to the train, and the train would take it into Boston. And they needed ice because there was no refrigeration. So if you were going to have meat or whatever you would normally keep in the fridge, you'd keep it in a little ice box with ice in it and then your food on top of it. Yes?
Could the people in Boston just get water from Boston?
They could have, but I don't know why they didn't. I don't know. I guess it's because it was convenient with the train going right in.
Or is that salt water?
Well, that's salt water. You're right. Answer your own question. Yes?
I was going to say salt water.
It's salt water. I didn't even think about that. So when the ice company was here, this house was used as like a tenement for the people who worked on cutting the ice out of the lake. So they would work all day and then they'd just come here and sleep. And at that time, the house was in really bad shape. It was very run down. And in 1930, the ice company burned down. And that's when the town bought this house. And the town still owns this house to this day. And we keep it in shape and we keep it running by an association. It's just a group of people who always are working to keep the house in good shape and looking nice. Yes?
You can see the slant up on that, like, shelf. See the
Yeah.
border of it, like, slant
Mhm.
down.
Or if you look at that closet door right there,
That.
you can see there's a big crack in it. Yes?
A long time ago, my grandmother used to take tours, like, people do tours with her.
Did she? What's
Well,
her name?
Yeah.
I don't know her first name.
What's her last name?
Mead.
Mead.
Meads.
That's interesting. Yes.
What are in those cupboards?
Nothing's in those cupboards. You know how the other ones had plates? This one's empty. Just shelves. Yes.
Who did that, ABC thing?
I don't know who did it, but I think it's from like 1890. Pretty old. Pretty old. Oh, there's another painting over there on the wall by the painter Poole, who I was telling you about. Yes.
I saw a picture in the hall of a lady. Who is that?
That woman, remember how I just told you that the town bought the house in 1930? And that we've been working by association to keep it together, and then I'm a caretaker along with my husband, and we live upstairs. Well, that lady was the first caretaker, and she lived here for 35 years, till 1965.
I love it.
Bless me. Are you allergic to cats? Yes?
Is all that share like from originally, or did you?
No, most of the stuff in the house isn't original. Because when you think back 1681, that would be an awful long time for furniture to be around. Most of the stuff is from the 1800s. I've lived here for almost 4 years. I've got a while to go till 35. Any other questions? Yes?
How many cats do you have?
3 of them. Yes.
Who lived here before you? Like,
Who did you replace?
The couple who lived here before was Cheryl and Rob Gaudette, and they lived here for 5 years, and they moved out right before we moved in, and they now live in Woburn. And as a matter of fact, the couple who lived here before, do you know Brian Murray?
I know.
His parents lived here. As a matter of fact, they lived here, I think, until he was about 1. And then they decided to move out because he was having a hard time walking around.
He was on my basketball team.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, what I thought I'd like to have you do, since it was so crowded when we were all in the rooms together, is just to have you wander around and take a look at things. Okay? Yes, remember?
Another Jonathan pool hanging in the big room in the Hartshorne house.
No, it was like that.
I don't know if I can get close enough. Oh, hold it up. Don't move it. I can get at it. What is it of? Do we know?
The
Oh, wait a minute, they both come out quick.
Hoxie House.
In Sandwich, Massachusetts. And it's an old book. 1889. Thank you.
1650.
I still gotta return that board tape.
Yes. Oh, I wish you would, because I don't want to lose that.
Let me get a picture.
Actually, I might let you keep it, but
Well, if I don't return it to you before the end of school, I'll return it to you next year.
okay.
Mrs. Power, you know that? You know how you said that book was made in 1883?
1889.
Yeah, it was made in 1723.
Really?
Yes, that was just 8, 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Be right there. Oh,
I think this is the whole thing. It's a whole thing of pictures.
isn't that wonderful?
Blue album? Where'd you get that? It was up there. A whole bunch of
I think you better leave them, Jillian.
It is necessary too, isn't it? I don't know, but it looks pretty old, huh?
Did you use this cotton?
Like in a bowl. You put it in a bowl, and then you just rock it back.
Oh.
That's Mr. and Mrs. Hartshorne.
It's taken on a while.
Aren't they cute?
Let me see.
I'm watching the baby.
Okay, Matt. That's really great. Have it. On your visit to the Hartshorne house, right? I hope your film is taking, Stacy. Not sure I got it in right. And here is the first room of the Hartshorne house. You've got to step down, and this gigantic spinning wheel is in here. The fireplace. And Matthew. Again. He's my token Hartshorne house person. See how.
I'm gonna get a picture of you. I'm not yet. I got one. No, I think it's like when you have little children and you walk them to the yeah, maybe that was like little things in
Okay, I'll do it.
Seat. Did Mrs. Schilling tell you what it was used for?
What?
Oh, bring her in here and ask her.
Shilling.
Excuse me, Mrs. Farrell, when are we going to see this?
Shilling.
Tomorrow?
Cradle, what you would do is you'd take your baby and you'd put her right there, and then you could sit here and rock, and this little bar would hold her in so she wouldn't fall out onto
Oh,
the
you'll be able
floor.
to do that soon.
Yeah, huh? Can you see me down here rocking away?
Yes.
It's a cradle. So you'd put your baby here, you'd rock back and forth, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the baby rocking out.
Unless you rock too
Yeah,
high,
it
she
does
rolled
come out.
over.
Probably back then it fit in a little bit better. It wasn't so wobbly.
So in other words, you could just like throw this away and have a whole bunch of people something like that.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
All right.
Mrs. Schilling, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're going to have to go along. We really appreciate being able to come down here and
Is it 2
having you.
o'clock already?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
You gave us a wonderful
Well,
tour.
I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys we could make it on a nice day.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Taking the cradle.
This is an older one. You can see what. Look at
Gotcha, Caleb.
But these
That's a
ones
cradle.
That, these ones are the ones that we just got.
We were about to leave the Hartshorne house. Mrs. Schilling is going to come out and say goodbye to the children. And there's a new sign. And the boys and girls are still inside. Here she comes.
Come on this way. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Should I line up the other side?
By the driveway.
Richie, I'm here. Hi. Bye. What team you on?
And everybody? Almost. Lived here for 35 years. Took care of the house.
Oh, okay.
That it?
Hey, Miss Scott.
Anybody else? Must be it.
One more. She's our photographer. The key
Thank
stays
you.
inside.
Bye-bye.
I'll have to see this.
Oh, that was wonderful from Mrs. Schilling visiting the Hartshorne house.
I'll
Thank
have
you.
to see that. What?
Free. Jillian can barely get herself halfway around. Look at that.